Lucky girl syndrome.
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 So first of all, from now on, I'm actually going to be referring to it as the lucky syndrome. No need to put girl into it. Anybody can feel included in this trend because the lucky syndrome isn't anything new. In this video, I'm going to share with you why the lucky syndrome is a great trend because it's actually helping people to manifest an overall better life for themselves. It's helping people to change the way they see themselves, change their belief system, and therefore change what they are attracting into their life. This video is going to give you the logical explanation as to why it can be so life-changing. And stay to the end because I have a fun manifestation challenge for you and a couple of bonus goodies for you, my lucky, lucky people. So when you boil it all down, the concept of the lucky syndrome is that you start to think about yourself differently. You start to see yourself as a very lucky person. This means that instead of expecting the worst case scenario, you're more likely to say and believe things like, I don't know why, but everything always works out for me. I'm just so lucky. I am one of the luckiest people I know. Everything always works out in my favor. I'm such an extremely lucky person. Okay, great. So you start saying all of this stuff. How does that change your life? This is how. Our beliefs about how life works, about what's possible for us and what's not possible for us, about what we're worthy and deserving of or what we aren't worthy or deserving of, about what's available for people like us and what's not available for people like us, the stories that we perpetuate into our future are one of the biggest influences in terms of what we actually end up doing with our lives and what we end up manifesting into our lives. If you have a belief that you're not good enough, that something like this can't happen for you, that you always get the bad luck, oh, it's just our luck, isn't it? You often hear people saying that with a negative kind of connotation. You may feel like those stories are based on truth because maybe you've experienced things in your life in the past where you experienced failure or you experienced hardship or you experienced abuse. Or maybe you even lived in an environment where everyone talked about how people like us are never the ones that get the luck. Oh, those people, they must have got lucky. That's why they have X, Y, or Z. Making it an us or them kind of scenario where you feel like you belong to the unlucky crowd, whereas there's this luckier crowd that just somehow has a magical life that you don't have access to. Whatever reasons why you might have these beliefs, they're all valid. But your mind will take whatever story you're telling yourself and that will affect your future too. I'll give an example. Take two people. They're pretty much the same person in many ways, same skills and opportunities and background even. And let's say they both want to become YouTubers. Let's say that negative Nelly over here says to herself things like this. YouTube is way too saturated these days. There's next to no chance that you would ever grow or go viral. The people who started their YouTube channels 10 years ago are the ones who had the opportunity. There's no opportunity on YouTube anymore. No one would be interested in what I have to say anyway. I don't have the money to buy the equipment that I would need to start a YouTube channel. I don't have the time, and such a small percentage of people ever make it on YouTube, so I'm not even going to bother. So the result of Nelly's stories leads to her never pursuing that dream in the first place. Or if she does, maybe after the first challenge or the first hurdle, she gives up and she allows all of those stories to tell her why it was never meant for her. Meanwhile, we have positive Polly over here, or lucky Lucie over here, who is in the same situation, same amount of money, same abilities, skills, more or less. But this person says, just imagine if I started a YouTube channel and if it grew really, really big. If that person did it, and that person did it, and that person did it, why not me too? My first few videos might not be great. In fact, they might be shocking. But there's only one way that I'm going to get better. And that's with practice. I know I don't have the funds to buy all the fancy equipment now, but why don't I just work with the resources that I have now, an iPhone 10 and natural daylight from my window, and let me just start. Because I want to share a message with the world. I want to make a positive impact. And even if I can impact just a few people, that's better than none at all. Same life situation, completely different belief systems and stories. After posting about 50 videos, one started to grow, and then another one started to grow, and another one started to grow, and then all of a sudden everything was exploding with growth. And a year and a half later, I received my 100k subscribers plaque. The stories that we tell ourselves always have the biggest part to play in the outcome of our life. I know that there are other factors. I know that there may seem to be external things in the world. They will always exist, and a lot of them are outside of our control. But what is within our control? Our own mindset, the story that we tell ourselves, which either moves us in the direction of what we want or stops us and blocks us from what we want. And the lucky syndrome is about telling yourself a new story, which opens your mind up to the possibilities that maybe you unconsciously blocked yourself from. On to my next little bit of science. Our brain is the most powerful machine in the world. 5% of it is conscious and 95% of it is unconscious. At any one moment, our senses are taking in, absorbing millions of pieces of information. And if our conscious mind was consciously aware of all the millions of things at any one moment, it would be incredibly overwhelming. We have a particular part in our brain called the reticular activating system, or the RAS, R-A-S. This part of the brain is a filter. So instead of us consciously seeing and experiencing all of the millions of things at any one moment, our RAS filters out the things that it thinks are most important for us to notice right now, so that we don't get overwhelmed and we can just focus on hearing my voice right now, watching me on the screen right now. And if there's any background noise or noises outside or other sensations going on in your room, in theory, what your RAS is helping you to do is focus less on those and hyper focus on one thing. And this is how we can concentrate. This is how our brain can actually function. Now, the question is, who decides what the RAS chooses to filter? Who says what is important for us to notice and what things we can just not notice, what things we can just blur out? This is where it gets really cool. Depending on how we've programmed our mind, depending on what our mind thinks is the most important to us, determines what the RAS filters out for us to notice. If you've ever played the car game where you're in the car and you need to spot all of the yellow cars, interestingly, then your brain starts to hyper-focus on anything that's yellow so that you can be the first to spot all the yellow cars. If you then change the rules of the game to spotting all of the red cars on the road, then all of a sudden all the red things start to stand out more prominently, right? That's a basic example of how we're not just accepting all the information around us equally, and our brain is very good at hyper-focusing on certain things while ignoring other things. Otherwise, our mind would be overwhelmed and would probably feel like it's going to explode. So when it comes to manifestation and the law of attraction, if you're telling yourself the stories, if you've got the programming of things are never available for someone like me, other people get all the luck, but I never get any of the luck, things don't work out for people like us, I'm not good enough anyway, so what's the point in even trying? It'll never work out, it's always hard. That's like the lens that your RAS has. And so then, with all of the millions of possibilities around you, the RAS will filter things out based on the programming that you've got plugged into it. And so the opposite is true as well. If you program your mind to a new story, that there are opportunities everywhere, that things always work out in my favor, that there are so many positive, good people in the world, that there are so many amazing opportunities available to me, that everything just seems to work so effortlessly for someone like me, that you don't even understand why, but everything just seems to be good in your life. if that's the lens that you put into your RAS, out of the millions of things around you, your brain will spot more of those. And the things that you spot, the things that you focus on, if you then take action on, you then follow that impulse, life is obviously going to take you down a totally different route. When we've got that positive, optimistic, lucky programming plugged in as well, it means that we can be open to brilliant ideas that come into our mind that then, if we act upon them, can lead to even more success. That's definitely how it worked out with my YouTube journey. I received ideas and impulses of, oh, I could record a video about this. And the ones that I had a particularly good feeling about, when I took action on them, they were the ones that got the most views, attracted the most people, and grew my audience and grew my channel the most. It's so interesting. Often we're looking at the external world, wondering why the external world is the way that it is. We might feel like none of it is within our control, and we might be doing things externally, trying to get things externally to make us feel a certain better way internally. But actually, the opposite is true. Our internal world and our internal programming creates so much of our external world. There are 7 billion of us on this planet, and each and every one of us sees the world differently, sometimes based on past experiences that we feel are absolutely legitimate and justifiable. But the question really is, do you want to create more and more and more of that into your future? Or are you open right now to trying something out you've got nothing to lose? Are you open to testing out what would happen if you started to tell yourself a different story? If you started to actually feel like you're someone who's lucky, you're someone where life is brilliant, you're someone who's so excited about all the amazing things that are coming your way into your life right now. What if you just tested that out? What if you told yourself, felt like, and believed that you are a lucky person just for 30 days? What have you got to lose? What could happen? What's the best that could happen? What changes and shifts would you feel internally? And what would that do to your external world as well? If you're up for the challenge, let's make it a challenge, the Lucky Syndrome Challenge. Now, to help you to change this programming, the real key is to immerse yourself in the new story, especially since so much of our waking day and our sleeping day is ruled by the subconscious mind. A lot of it, we're just on autopilot, and autopilot means that the old programming just keeps on playing. So if we want to change that programming, we've got to kind of intercept the spokes of the machine and get it to move in a different way. So my advice is to fill your day for the next 30 days with affirmations, meditations, visualizations, journaling, all of these different things where you are constantly either hearing or telling yourself that you are such a lucky person. So what I've decided to do, I promised you a few treats. You're in luck today. This is your lucky day. I am going to create a number of Lucky Syndrome resources. A Lucky Syndrome meditation, Lucky Syndrome affirmations you can listen to, and I'm also thinking of doing a Lucky Syndrome subliminal track. All of these things will be on my YouTube channel. If I've uploaded them already, you'll see them linked below. If I haven't created them yet, comment below and let me know which one would be your favorite and which one you'd most like for me to create for you. Plus, I just created the Lucky Syndrome 30-day challenge free ebook, which you can download in the description below. Let's get ourselves feeling lucky. Remember, we've got absolutely nothing to lose by doing this. I challenge you to plug into Lucky Syndrome thoughts for the next 30 days and just see what kind of shifts you notice in your life. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a big thumbs up. Make sure to hit the subscribe button and ring my bell so that you never miss another video. Feel free also to explore the links in the description for one-to-one coaching with me, to apply to work online in business with me, or to access my members only videos. Thank you for joining me. I love you, you lucky, lucky person. Until next time, bye.